Hi and welcome to the channel. I'm Sam and this is the Crafty Blinder van build. And today we're installing our kitchen sink in part 4 of our kitchen build. Our original plan in the kitchen was to install this sink. At the time, let's open it. We thought this would be the best option for us. We loved it. But then as the kitchen developed, we realised we'd have no worktop. You know, the oven was going to go here. We'd have very little space to do anything with. So, change of plan. We've opted for a little tiny sink, and we found one on the internet. It's miles away. It's basically the other end of the county, south of the lakes. But it's an hour and a half to get there. Well, it's actually an hour and 45 minutes to get there. It's a little place called Ulverston. So we're going to set off in a little while, and we're going to go and collect this sink. It's a Wren sink. I've never bought anything from Wren before. I've never used anything from Wren before. The guy selling it, he's had it up there for a little while. But if you know the layout of the Lake District and Cumbria, you'll know that Ulverston's a little bit. It's like us, it's rural, so things can sit on Facebook Marketplace for months with nobody buying them, and this has been the case with this little sink. I've watched it for a while, I've toyed with the idea of fitting it, and then as I've built the kitchen and developed the kitchen, I've realised, you know, that one there, that big one, will just take up far too much space, so we're going to put the little one in instead, and I think it's going to be a much better option for us. In all honesty, we just need somewhere to brush our teeth, wash our faces, wash our hands and wash our pots and pans. We don't need a big sink with a draining board like that. So off we go. I'm not looking forward to this. Driving through the Lake District this time of year is a nightmare. As you can imagine, it's just full of tourists and full of locals just trying to get on. So we'll see you in a bit. Once we got back from Ulverston, we jumped straight in to fit in the sink. As with most inset sinks, it came with a template. So we marked up where we wanted it to be and started the process of installing it. The only problem was, I hadn't realised how hard the oak was going to be, and I needed a brand new drill bit to get through this wood. The second time around, with the new bit, it went through no problem. As the van build progressed, I started employing a technique called shadow vacuuming. This allows you to drill and cut without creating lots of mess. As you're hoovering up as you go along, you still get a little bit of mess, but you don't end up with the dust that you would normally generate just by cutting and drilling. And this technique reduces the amount of time you spend cleaning your van, in all honesty. When you're cutting hardwood with a jigsaw, it's important that you let the jigsaw do the work. Don't try and force it. Always try and use new blades when you can. And just take your time. Try and be prepared as well for things to go wrong. Because when you least expect it, things go wrong. The blade shattered and ended up damaging the worktop. I was absolutely gutted that this happened. Not to dwell on it, we changed the blade out and continued with removing the worktop. Obviously I'm going to have to come back and repair the damage that was done, or find some way of hiding it. Right, let's see how we're fixing this. I used the we've been lucky. So this was the only template that come with the sink, so I think what we need to do is just offer it up again and go around and trim it. Right, try to make sure that this template fits. So again, it needs trimmed Right, so this style of fixing, I'll show you. Let's try and open it up. So this style of fixing here actually just clips over. So what we need is a good couple of millimetres. There you go. So that pivots like that. So this bit here will sit on the inside of the opening, but it hooks on, so that little piece there will hook into here. Let's see if we can get one down here. Doesn't want to play ball. Right, let's move all this stuff and let's have a proper go with it. I'm missing something. Nope, doing it the right way. Yeah, just like that. Right, so there's another 7 of them to go on, but we need to first cut the template and then cut this. I think what I'm going to do when I cut it out, I'm going to try and push it back a little bit just to take some of these marks out. Now let's see if this fits. Right. I would say that is perfect. Right, let's get it transferred onto here and fitted. Big opening. Jeez, that is a big opening. Change direction there, so if the cardboard's moving it doesn't throw it off centre, so if we start this side, follow it around, it should meet up in the exact same place. There you go. Before we started to enlarge the hole for the sink to fit in, I moved the camera a little bit closer. I just wanted to catch a couple of nice shots of the blade and the jigsaw doing its work. However, I didn't realise till much later what it had also captured, and this is the shadow vacuuming, how it's pulling the dust in from the air, not only from the blade, but the air around it, and this is probably why it's so effective and a great technique to employ. Once the hole for the sink was in, we needed to turn our attention to getting the water pipes and the waste pipe to the sink. So I needed to put a hole in the side of the carcass, actually put a couple in at different locations to help me feed the pipe work up and get it to where it needed to be. I also needed to get a number of instrument cables across. So these are the cables that will go to the dials and the gauges. To give them an extra level of protection, I'm wrapping them in a cable tidy. This will stop them from being nipped or damaged or just rubbing together. This is one of them thankless tasks. It is worth it in the end because you've got the security and knowledge knowing that your cables aren't going to get damaged. But in all honesty, nobody's ever going to know. Nobody's going to see it. Done, finally done. I believe it's these parts of the job that give you more satisfaction. When you start installing all the nice finishing pieces, like your nice taps, your nice sink, all the things you've spent time choosing and visualising, when they start to go in and you've fitted them, they're the ones that you take the most pride in, I think. I think a lot of you will agree as well. There's so much of this van build that will never ever be seen. It's just it's just the foundations. And it's the foundations that you need. If you don't put the work in, put the effort in right at the beginning, you're not going to achieve what you want at the end. You know, I want this vehicle to be able to go anywhere, experience different climates, heat changes, you know, going from -20 to +40 or whatever. But if I hadn't done the hard work at the beginning, I wouldn't be able to do that. And it's later on where I'll feel the benefit. Due to the size of the fitting that came with the tap, I didn't need any tools to install it. I could do it all by hand. Let's have a look. Just square that up a little bit. Give it another nip. There we go. £1/4 for them. For the final connections, we're using John Guest tap connectors with a brass male-to-male coupler. These, I believe I should shorten these a little bit. Yeah, we'll take a little bit off these. I've recently done some work on two very nice motorhomes, and I was amazed to find that they don't use the inserts. Now, I don't understand why, but each piece of pipe that I worked on was missing inserts. I just find that hard to believe when they cost so little. And in all honesty, the fact that the inserts were missing was the reason I was working on these vehicles. But it wasn't just at one joint, it was at all the joints that I inspected. They were missing these very vital parts. This is the third and final time of installing this sink. Turns out that the clips that came with the sink were substandard. Every time I tried to tighten them, they would just break. In the end, I had to go to the internet and find a much better quality item. I did, but it come at a price and it come at a delay. So this is probably a week after I started to install the sink that I'm getting to finish it. The hardest part about putting the clips on was there was very little access. once I got the sink in place, I was doing most of the work blind, and I think this is why a number of the clips broke. This wren sink came with all these attachments, and I'll be honest with you, I wish I'd never used them because I couldn't find a connection to there. So what I had to do is buy one from Screwfix, and there was a lip here, and I've basically had to grind that lip off all the way around with a little Dremel, and that now slots up inside and gives us a perfect seal. So we'll put that piece in. So the solid waste pipe was quite a bit of a feat to get in. We had to angle it in, glue the ends on already, work it in behind here, and then all that was shown was this piece, and then we had to glue all this together and out of the van, and then that connects up to our grey water tank. Stick that back piece on now. Let's see if we can help it. It's a little bit tight on here. So a little bit of fairy liquid might do the trick. Oh, that's it. Something we've added to the job as well is this meshed vent. There's a bit of heat generated off the fridge, and I can't get my head around this, but it's a vent-free fridge. It doesn't need an exhaust. Usually you bring a pipe out the side of the van. With this fridge that I've got, you don't need to. Just need to leave plenty of ventilation around it. So this is all open at the bottom. This is open here. We have plenty of movement around the fridge and gaps to the left, right and above, and at the back as well. So it's a great little fridge. It's took me a while to get my head around the idea that it's ventless. But now that I have, well, I even went to the extent of borrowing a gas analyzer to see if it was putting out any harmful gases, and it wasn't. I've got a CO2 monitor in there as well. I'll put that in just to make sure that we won't poison on ourselves. That hasn't alarmed, but it's took me a while to get used to having that fridge, but now I've got it, I'm more than happy with it. All finished. brings us to the end of our kitchen pod build. It took us a little while to get there again, but there was a lot of stuff that I've done that I didn't want to skimp on the detail. So it's been a 4-parter, probably the biggest micro series within the series. But I hope I've covered all the different aspects of the build that I did. If you're enjoying what we're doing, please consider liking and subscribing and sharing with your friends. You know, we're building a nice little community up at the minute, and it's fun. Got quite a bit of feedback on Facebook. We've got some guys that input all the time. Stuart and Alan, nice, thank you. There's Mickey over from Finland. He inputs as well. And this week I managed to bump into some of my younger followers on YouTube. The dad watches the channel. He's a local guy, he's one of my friends. I pulled up at the house and they were all excited to see the van and had a good ratch around, and I put a little bit on at the end. But yeah, it's been a busy week. Now the next part of the build is going to be this, the awning. Now I'll show you what we're up to at the minute. Been rained off for a couple of days now. Show you what we've been doing. I've changed all the suspension. We've upgraded the back. Got a cheeky 2-inch of lift on the back. Got let down by Bilsteins with the dampers for the rear, but the front ones are here. I've got the beam in, the torsion bar in. The new shockers are over there. They've got the gaiters on the dampers. We just ran out of time the other night and it was raining heavily. I've set up a bit of a tent, but in all reality it's just constantly raining and I'm just getting wet and miserable, so I knocked it on the head. I'm hoping, over there we've got a break in the clouds, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm hoping that comes this way tonight so I can get this front end finished off. Yeah, it's dragging on a bit now. Right, thanks for watching again. I'll see you next time. 2, 3.
Crafty blinders!
Thanks for watching to the end. Without you guys, this channel would be dead in the water. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Crafty Blinders. If you like what we're doing, please remember to subscribe, like and share with your friends. Until next time, take care and we'll see you again.